Hello class. In this demo, I'll be demonstrating how to draw organic forms on a black paper using white charcoal. I start off with a very basic drawing, very basic sketch of the skull and the glass vessel. As you can see, I'm getting a very general sketch of the skull and locating the center of the skull, starting off with the nasal cavity and branching out to the eye socket. From there, I carve out the edge of the skull and move on to the other eye socket. All this is measured, of course. I'm using angle measurements to get the angles of the eye sockets, also the angle of the skull, the dome of the skull, also mapping out the form shadows. Now, in this next section here, I'm starting on the teeth. It is really important to note that each tooth has a very different form. So I urge you to pay close attention to each individual tooth. In the front we have incisors, so two pairs of incisors, one pair of canine, two pairs of premolars, and three pairs of molars, each having a very specific shape. Moving on to the glass vessel here. I'm paying really close attention to these elliptical shapes, especially on the top of the vessel, paying close attention to the form. And I'm doing all this drawing in white charcoal pencil. You can see how I'm erasing as I go along, erasing the construction drawing lines as well as the any mistakes that I make along the way. As you can also see, I'm starting to block in the shadow shapes and indicating where the light mass is. So once I separate these two forms, the light mass and the shadow mass, I'm going in and starting to block in the light mass here. Now you can see how I'm going in with a little bit more pressure on the highlights, and I'm just going very softly and very evenly as I can over the light mass, just covering it, very general, uh, just the just one layer on all the light mass, very soft layer. Because you'll notice even in the light mass, there's uh, varying degrees of light and highlight, midtone, and so forth. So make sure to get the full range of value in the light mass. That's what's really going to make the object three-dimensional. As you can see, I also address the reflective light in the shadow mass. I put in a very subtle value in the, reflective light. And here I'm starting to build up the light mass. I'm adding more pressure. And really being very specific as to where I'm applying the pressure. I'm also starting to address details to some degree. Putting in highlights in the glass flask. As you can see, I've also indicated where the cast shadow of the skull is, and even though the organic forms are on a black sheet, there is a very subtle indication of light and shadow, and you can see how I'm addressing that very subtly. Now here you can see how I'm incorporating the blending stump, and I'm adding luminosity in the shadow areas where I see it, of course, and also softening some form shadow and cast shadow. And that concludes the recording. Thank you.